Hi, I'm Chef Sandy with BarziBrand.com, and I'm here to show you a couple of chilies with our Barzi brand chili fix. The first chili we're going to do today is white chili. It's made with chicken and white beans, no tomatoes, so it's less acid and less fat because of diced chicken. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a nice big pot. You want to have enough to hold everything so that it doesn't make a mess. About 5 quarts will do. And we're going to start by heating up some butter. I know I said low fat, but butter's always makes things better. And we're going to heat our butter up, and then we're going to saute our onions. I've already diced those up for you. I'm sure by now everyone has a good onion dice going on in their life. And we're just going to saute that around and get them nice and translucent, slightly browned, but you don't want to get them caramelized. Now to this, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper while they're cooking. I'd say about a teaspoon. About a half a teaspoon of pepper. It just takes about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, for that to get all hot and bubbly and nicely browned. Okay, now that our onions are ready, we're going to go ahead and add a pound of diced chicken, just breast meat. You can use dark meat, but that's going to raise your fat levels, so it's up to you what you want to use. I like the white meat. It makes it a nice pretty color when you're done because the chicken stays nice and white. So we're going to stir that in around with our onions and let that cook for another 5 minutes or so till the chicken's pretty much cooked through. It doesn't have to be completely because we still have a way to go with this. Okay, now as you can see, our meat is mostly white. There's still little bits of pink in there, but that's okay. It's going to cook through. And now we're going to add our spices. Okay, now our spices that we're going to add. First, we're going to add a tablespoon of mixed garlic. A tablespoon of ground cumin. And then a teaspoon of whole oregano, a teaspoon of whole oregano, and then with our Barzi chili fix, we're going to add 2 tablespoons. Now we're going to stir those all together with our chicken and onions and let them saute a little bit to bring up those flavors. As you see, sauteing the spices will help bring out the volatile oils in them and make them taste better, even stronger. as opposed to just simmering them with the water and the stock. Okay, now our spices, chicken, and onions have sauteed for about a minute all together. We're going to go on by adding 2 cans of white beans that have been washed and drained. 1 can of kernel corn that's been drained. You can also use frozen corn if you'd rather use that. And then we also have 1 small can of diced green chilies. That's going to add a lot of nice bright flavor and not much heat. They're just a little touch spicy. We'll stir that together. Then we're going to add our broth. And I have 3 cups of chicken broth. You can use homemade chicken broth that you've spent your Saturday afternoon with some chicken bones just simmering them in the kitchen. Or you can just get some canned chicken broth or boxed chicken broth. It's very good quality stuff out there now. We're just going to stir that together, and then we're going to reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, now that it's come up to a boil, we're going to add a little salt and pepper, and we're going to do this to taste. So I start with about a teaspoon, and then about a half teaspoon of pepper. And we're going to test it, see what it tastes like. It's really good. Oh yeah, I think we got enough salt in there. So now we're going to turn it down to about medium. And we're going to let that simmer between 30 and 40 minutes. The longer it simmers, the thicker it gets. So we're going to let that. And while that's cooking, we're going to move it over here. And we're going to start our beef, our red chili, or our normal Barzi chili that's made with tomatoes and ground beef. Okay, so while our white chili is simmering, we're going to go ahead and do our traditional chili with our Barzi brand chili fix. And we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to saute our onions as well in that. And our green peppers. So that's about a medium onion diced up. And then I have here about a medium green pepper. And we're going to saute that. It'll take about 3 or 4 minutes. You want it to get slightly translucent, a little bit brown. Okay, our onions and peppers are ready to go. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to them. And now we're going to add our ground beef. You can use a regular ground beef, but a nice coarse ground beef is very good. You can usually get that in the fall at your local supermarket. And it's a little bit thicker and it gives a beefier flavor. Now that we've added our ground beef, we're going to let it saute until it's nicely browned and cook through. That should take another 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, our ground beef is nicely browned, and since we had such nice lean ground beef, we're not going to drain it today. We're going to leave that little bit of fat in there for extra flavor, and we're going to add our spices. We're going to start with a tablespoon of minced garlic. It smells so good. Tablespoon of cumin. Tablespoon of whole basil. A teaspoon of oregano, because it's pretty strong. We don't want to overdo our oregano. So it's a teaspoon of whole basil, excuse me, a teaspoon of whole oregano. And we're going to add 4 tablespoons of our Barzi chili fix. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to stir all those together and let them simmer with the meat and onions and peppers for about 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, now that we've let our spices simmer for about a minute or 2, we're going to add our tomatoes, beef broth, and tomato paste. So we have a big can of diced tomatoes, 1 small can of tomato paste, and 3 cups of beef broth. And that can be homemade beef broth or canned beef broth. Then we're going to stir that together and add our beans. Okay, we've gotten that all stirred together now. We're going to add 1 can of drained and rinsed kidney beans and 1 can of drained and rinsed pinto beans. We're going to stir this all together, and we're going to let this simmer for about 40 minutes to an hour. Ooh, look how yummy. We're going to let this simmer, but first we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to it. Then we're going to taste it to make sure we got enough in there. It's about a teaspoon of salt, about a half teaspoon of pepper. Alright, we're going to taste it. Maybe just a little bit more salt. Alright, now we're going to let this simmer for 40 minutes to an hour, and in a few minutes we'll plate up our white chili and our traditional chili. Okay, so our chicken chili is all ready to go now. It's been simmering about 25 minutes, and so it's well spiced and all mixed together, and we're going to plate it up. Okay, we're going to ladle up our chili in this nice bowl here. Big chunks of chicken. Chili is one of my favorite things served with cornbread, and we have here our honey cornbread made from our Barzi's honey butter cornbread mix. And we're going to garnish our chili. We're going to use a little bit of sour cream that helps cut a little bit of the heat and just bring some creaminess to it. And then we're going to add a little bit of green onion for nice color and a little crunch. And if you'd like, you can add some salsa or pico de gallo, but it'll make a delicious dish for dinner or lunch. We got our chicken chili ready with our corn and white beans. Should be delicious. Let's give it a try. I'm sorry you're not here to try it with me. I know it's going to be hot. That is so good. I can't wait till you try it. Okay, our traditional chili is all ready now. We're going to scoop it out. It's gotten a lot thicker now, and it's ready to be plated up. So let's get it in the plate and have a bite. Nice and chunky. Lots of good beans. And we're going to garnish this one with a little green onion and a little shredded cheddar cheese. Okay, now that we have our chili all plated up, we're going to take a big old bite. That is really, really good. I can't wait for y'all to have a bite of this as well. Thank you for stopping by today. I hope you enjoy your chili. Please make sure to stop by at barzibrand.com where you can pick up all of our spices to make these beautiful chilies that we made today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you again.